Remember what I said about Lorenzo Carter and the frustration about guys not always being utilized in the best roles for them? Well, that definitely applies to Josh Sweat. And it's even more frustrating for him to me. Like, at least I can say with Lorenzo Carter, he was utilized in a variety of different ways, but several of those ways he was utilized gave him a chance to demonstrate his quickness, his speed, his overall natural God-given athleticism, and that type of stuff can potentially shine on film. I can also understand somebody like, let's say, a Dorrance Armstrong at Kansas being asked to go into a role that doesn't showcase him very well because he's really the only dude that they have on the defense. And they're Kansas, so they don't do football well, so what the hell would they know? I even get that. But what Florida State did with Josh Sweat and how they utilized him and how they so consistently sat there and had him play with their hand in the ground is something that I still can't figure out. You should be better than that. You should be smarter than that. And you have a defense with NFL talent at all three levels. Talking about the defensive line with Derek Nottie, the linebacking core with Matthew Thomas, safety, you've got Derwin James, Tavares McFadden is a day 3 guy. So there's NFL talent, legit NFL talent on that defense. But they figure out the absolute worst way, in my opinion, to get the most out of Josh Sweat, both in college and preparing him for the NFL. That aggravates me so damn much. Especially when you talk about a guy like Josh Sweat, who was so highly thought of as a recruit coming out of high school, even with the shredded up knee. There was still the hope and the thought that this guy was going to be a big-time difference maker for Florida State. And the truth is, you might as well nickname him the Flash. Because every once in a while, he flashes it. Every once in a while, he flashes that burst. Every once in a while, he flashes that ability to dip and bend the edge. Every once in a while, he flashes the ability to get to the quarterback. But it's really hard to see anything other than flashes because of the way they utilized him at Florida State. I mean, that's really true. So I look at this guy, and he's a bit of a hard grade. Because what he did primarily in Florida State at 2017 is not what you would be hoping to do with him at the NFL level. If you're going to play him with the hand in the ground an awful lot, I feel like you're wasting a draft pick and you're doing him and his career an incredible disservice. So there's a hope for me that Josh Sweat can be a better NFL player than he is a college player. To me, sometimes you look at a guy and it's really not that hard. You don't fight it. You look at him and you say, okay, he's one of those 4-3 outside strong backers that rushes the quarterback, Bruce Irvin style. Or he's a 3-4 goddamn edge rusher. He's one of the two. With Josh Sweat, he's one of the two. But again, when watching him at Florida State, at times it could be really hard to grade him because he had his hand in the ground so damn much. And you're looking at him as a guy that ran a 5.3 at the 40 at the combine. So obviously he's still got quickness and athleticism and speed as an edge rusher. But he didn't always show it. He showed it in bursts on the field, but it didn't always show. It really showed a lot better when he was standing up as an edge rusher playing outside linebacker. But when he's on the line, that burst doesn't show up. It doesn't manifest itself as much as you want. So even when you look at my grade for his quickness and burst, it's not nearly as high as maybe you think it should be. And fundamentally, I agree with you. But based off of the way he was utilized, it didn't show up enough, so I in part have to grade off of that. And what I really didn't like is this is a guy who really lacks a wide array of pass rush moves. And you're going to put him into a situation where he's going to be significantly outgunned in terms of strength, in terms of sheer size, where the pass rush moves are going to be even more important. I mean, how does he really get to the quarterback? Everything, again, is a flash. He shows an ability to bend his shoulder, dip his hips, and bend the edge, but he doesn't do it consistently. He flashes it. He has a really awesome stutter move with violent hands, but again, he only flashes it. He flashes ability to be a solid defender against the run. That's something I really like about him and I think is a little underrated. He flashes some ability in coverage, but how much do you really want to utilize him there? It's frustrating because it feels like he could be more. What really concerns me, though, about Josh Sweat are a couple of things. Like, the size doesn't concern me that much because, like I said, you put him in a Bruce Irvin type of role or you make him a 3-4 edge rusher. That's his natural position. So for the NFL, in those positions and roles, he has plenty of size, and he's a great enough athlete to be able to play either one of them. But two things that really worry about him. Number one is his lack of overall football awareness and instincts. He was consistently laid off the snap throughout his career. Consistently. Not sometimes just a half step behind, but even 1 to 1.5, and God forbid, it almost felt like sometimes 2 steps behind. He responds incredibly slowly to what's going on in terms of the action in front of him. Play action, read option, you name it. He's really slow. He's late to recognize where the ball is. Doesn't get his hands up well enough in the passing game. So while he can be a great athlete at times, it doesn't always show. It flashes. But the one thing he flashes consistently is a lack of great football intellect. And sometimes guys can develop and work on that and improve on that when they get to the NFL level. And sometimes that's just not who they are. You don't think, you just play, you just go. And it feels like maybe that's the best type of role for him. The other major concern, and to me it is still a major concern all these years later, is the knee injury and how the knee's going to hold up. And this is a guy that's had some issues staying healthy. And you saw it even in 2017. He was able to stay somewhat healthy for Florida State, but there were plays where he was limping. There were plays where he looked like he was 2 or 3 steps slower than what he really was. And I really worry about whether or not his knee is going to hold up at the NFL level. I really, really worry about that because if he's already limping at times, Matt Hardy style now, and this kid's in his early 20s, how's that knee going to hold up playing 6, 8, 10, 12 years in the league? I don't know. There's a part of me that would like to grade Josh Sweat a little bit higher. But the truth is, whatever you see out of him is a flash. And it's a fleeting flash, and you don't see it nearly consistently enough. And when you talk about a guy who doesn't have a great feel for the game, and a guy with a bad knee, and everybody can acknowledge and see it's a bad knee, you really feel like you're risking a lot spending a really high pick on this guy. Now, still even with that said, I feel like with the athletic upside and projecting him to the NFL, I feel like it's worth a late second to early mid-round 3 pick on him because the upside could be that massive. But you have to have the infrastructure in place to absorb him as kind of like a bonus pick. And what I mean by that is that if he stays healthy and he gets to work on being a 3-4 edge rusher, he could be a bendy, twitchy athlete on the edge and be really damn good. And if he is, you are prepared to reap some massive rewards from it. However, if he doesn't, then you know that you wasted a 2nd or 3rd round pick on him. So he is an incredible swing for the fences type of pick here to me on day 2. And I still feel like you take him on day 2. Because you don't hear a lot about off the field issues or anything like that. I gamble on him at some point in time. I gamble on the athlete and hope we can figure it out and hope that knee holds up. But also know that it's very likely in a few years you'll look back and be like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that guy? Because he couldn't stay healthy and he just wasn't good enough from a football intellect standpoint to be able to hang at the NFL level. So he's got upside. I cannot dispute that. But I think people are been a little too ambitious in how highly they think of his upside, considering the lack of awareness and instincts, considering the knee injury, and considering everything you've seen out of him during his college career has been an occasional flash.